Thank you, Acting Speaker. I'm pleased to rise today to contribute on the Terrorism, Community Protection and Controlled Weapons Amendment Bill 2024, and I'll start off the contribution in acknowledging the member for Caulfield, the Shadow Minister in this space, for his contribution and work on this bill and keeping his colleagues up to date. We don't oppose this bill, but we do have some recent amendments in here, and the bill on the surface does give police some greater flexibility, and it's probably long overdue if you listen to our police officers and the community. The bill introduces measures to give VicPol greater flexibility to combat weapons offending when there is a heightened risk to community and safety, and I think that's very important. And no one on this side, when we talk about community safety and introducing legislation in this place, nobody on this side ever works against the government on that. And I just want to acknowledge our hard-working police. I know they are very frustrated at the moment in relation to they've just been through an 18-month process on their EBA, and not to mention the fact that I know, especially in my local community, Acting Speaker, that the police down my way are very, very frustrated with the bail laws at the moment. And I just want to acknowledge the hard work that they do in trying to keep our community safe, and hopefully this bill will give them more powers to do that. I think it's very important to notice that when we talk about terrorism in our community, that there probably has been an uplift in terrorism, that classed as terrorism, that we haven't seen before in the community at the moment, and there was no more prevalent than the firebombing of the synagogue, which did get recognised as a terrorist act. And I feel for the community of that synagogue, that their place of worship was a target of, we could probably safely call them domestic terrorists, and no other reason for it than anti-Semitism against the Jewish community. And I don't think. Well, I'd like to think that our laws, and with these new laws coming in, will toughen up around that area. But the one thing that probably concerns me a bit about this is, a couple of times in this chamber, Acting Speaker, we have tried to introduce laws around machetes and making machetes a prohibited weapon. Now, I still are of the firm belief that there is no place for machetes in our society, and I know the member of Point Cook won't mind when I reference this conversation when the Werribee election was on, and the member for Point Cook and myself were talking about machetes, and I was saying that there was no place for them, and I took on board what the member of Point Cook said. He said, listen, if you drive around the corner, you'll see a farm around the corner, and where the workers use machetes to, I think, was it a broccoli? Yeah, broccoli farm, collie farm, they use the machetes to chop them. And I said, I acknowledge that. I said, but there is ways around this that you can still have the machetes, and it's quite a simple solution where the farm where the machetes are required should be locked up on the farm, not for everyone to take home. And this is my point, where we're saying we don't want to see, and the member for Albert Park referenced it as well, there is no need for knives and machetes on our streets. There's definitely no need in Narrabeen, and there's no need, I imagine, in Clorinda and in Point Cook or anywhere else. So when there is a situation like the member of Point Cook rightly pointed out to me, I said, well, there is a solution around this. You can treat them like guns, and you can lock them up in a safe on the farm just for the workers to use when they come to work. Now, I am no way at any point in time saying any of those workers out there have broken the law in any way, shape or form, but we do have to start to make machetes a prohibited weapon, because I think the community expectation of the moment, and we see it on the news, in the news, time after time again. A home invasion, machetes used. Now, there is an expectation of this community and the state of Victoria that us in this place will do everything we possibly can to make them feel safe. And the problem we're having now, Acting Speaker, is that people do not feel safe in their own homes. They just don't. I saw one on the news just the other day where the thieves came back twice to the same home and stole. The first time I don't know what they did, but the second time they came back they stole 2 vehicles out of the garage. And again, with machetes, I spoke about, it might have been the last sitting week or the sitting week before that, where a 19-year-old girl in my electorate was bailed up by an offender wielding a machete. Now, she's only 19, I know her father very well. Thankfully she wasn't hurt, but they did still, they stole her car, they took her car. Now, this is a 19-year-old girl. Now, at some point in time, I want this government to actually wake up and say, machetes have no place in our society. They're not required. If they are required, we can put laws in place to specifically deal with that. But at no point in time are machetes required in Victoria. They're really not, unless it's for a specific use, like the member of Point Cook pointed out to me, and I took that on board. But when I see a 19-year-old girl get bailed up by a machete, and I know her parents, I've known her parents for a very long time, member for Croydon, and he was angry. The father was angry, and you can imagine what he would like to have done to that offender. But then that offender went to court, he was already out on bail, went to court, came out on bail again. And this is where we're failing at the moment in this state of Victoria. I think these laws, that what this legislation is introduced today, goes a bit further for the police to expand their laws, especially around events. But are we doing enough? And the member for Murray Plains said it earlier. The government is missing an opportunity here. Does this go far enough? And this is the real question the government should be asking itself. When the government says, you know, we consult with people, we do all this, we do all that, there's one thing to consult with people, there's another thing to listen to people. If they would listen to the community of Victoria, the government would take this further. They would not miss this opportunity that they are at the moment. And, you know, they have to listen to the police. The police have been, unfortunately, I don't think our former Chief Commissioner was probably vocal enough against the government, but if they listen to the police, and if you go down to your local police station, you talk to the police, they're saying our laws aren't tough enough. They're saying our bail laws are not tough enough. So consultation's great, but there's a big difference between consulting and listening. And I don't think the government is really listening at the moment to what the community expectation is around law and order. I just don't think they're listening enough. And the member for Murray Plains said it very, very well, that this is a missed opportunity of this government to introduce tougher laws, to absolutely prohibit machetes. They don't need to be a controlled weapon. They need to be absolutely prohibited. And there's just, I feel for our hard-working members of Victoria Police when they are constantly locking up people, and the member for Albert Park rightly said, I think it was over 14,000 knives and everything else that the VicPol have got off the street, which is good. It's a good thing for our community, but how many of those people got bail? And there's the problem. The Victoria Police do a great job. They're out there, they protect and serve, they're trying to keep our community safe, but I don't feel as though this government is supporting them enough in their endeavours to get the bail laws right and to get criminals off the streets. This bill will go some way to giving them more powers, which is a good thing. But the government does need to do more. They need to support VicPol, and they need to support them in the sense that when the bail laws need to be reformed so people aren't having a revolving door. We will obviously go to the reason amendments on division, but at the moment I don't think it goes far enough. Thank you.
Member.